Hello, welcome to Priory Paddock. We've reached late July now. The school holidays are upon us, and I hope you can hear me over the sound of the bell ringing meeting going on in the tower at the church next door. We've reached that time of the year when the growth in the paddock reaches its height. Many of the plants in the paddock are actually high summer flowers, and they've spent the last 3 or 4 months gradually gaining height, and now they have reached their zenith and they are beginning to flower. And standing down here by the gate, looking up the paddock, you can see that there are some flowers that are looking fresh and bright, and there's quite a lot of growth which is beginning to look a bit shop worn. It's browning off, the edges are starting to go, and those are the plants which flowered earlier in the year, and they've set their seed now and are beginning to go over. And here, just inside the gate, on the right by the wall, we can see some alkanet, and you could actually see the seeds inside the seed cases on the alkanet, and the leaves are starting to become a little bit brown edged and worn. Next to the alkanet there's a classic summer flower. We've got some spikes about 4 feet tall of lovely yellow flowers with dark red centres and big green, rich green leathery leaves, and this is called dark mullein. Going on a bit further, the area between the drive and the boardwalk is looking distinctly past its best, inasmuch as a lot of the plants here are grasses, and they have very clearly set seed and have gone that lovely pale brown colour that you see in cornfields as the grasses, the seeds on the grasses are ripening, and the grasses themselves are starting to go over. A little bit further on we come to 3 bushes, 2 on the right of the path and 1 on the left, and these are Guelder rose bushes, and like all the other trees and shrubs, they flowered some time ago, and in this case the berries are now ripening beautifully. They started off as pale green, and they went yellow, and now they are turning through orange with nice glossy red, and these are the berries of the Guelder rose. It has nice bright green leaves with very red stems. At this time of the year, the paddock becomes a haven for butterflies and bumblebees, and one of the largest reason for that is the fact that there is so much nectar available to them. Many of the plants in here have specifically been chosen because they are attractive to insects, and the tall purple spikes with the squarish reddish stems on the left here by the pond are purple loosestrife, and on this nice bright sunny afternoon the purple loosestrife is full of bumblebees. I don't expect you'll be able to hear them though. Some of the plants which started to flower earlier in the summer are still flowering, whilst they have started to set seed on the same plant. And a good example of that is the spear thistle behind the thorn bush, the hawthorn, on the left hand side of the path. And this has a lot, again, it's very popular with the bumblebees. I can see a bumblebee with a rather gingerish looking bumblebee with both a ginger tail and a ginger jacket at the moment. And then the flowers on the spear thistle, they look like very much like purple shaving brushes, but lower down where the flowers were flowered 2 or 3 weeks ago, earlier in the summer, the flowers have produced seed, and the plant is now producing lots and lots of thistledown. One of the other plants which started to flower early in the year and still has a few flowers on it, but very much has gone to seed, is the meadow cranesbill. And the meadow cranesbill, there's a meadow cranesbill here just along from the spear thistle, and the cranesbills themselves have ripened and have turned into very curious candelabra-shaped constructions with 5 arms and a seed on the end of each of the arms. The trees along the seaward side of the paddock provide a reasonable amount of shelter, considering we're only half a mile from the Irish Sea. And that's one of the reasons why the site is so attractive to insects, particularly in an area which is as windy as this. But one of the problems is that the wind comes around the paddock and gets in behind the taller plants growing along the side of the wall, and they tend to get, particularly at this time of the year when they're reaching their height, they tend to be pushed away from the wall and bent over in strange shapes. And this is particularly true of the teasels, which tend to be bent over very badly by the wind, and then, having been bent by the wind, they start to grow upright again, so they end up in S. Well, there's at least one which is in a complete S shape. The area above the well is a particular mecca for insects. Not only have we got teasels, which are very popular particularly with bumblebees. There's teasels, there's purple loosestrife, there's some meadow cranesbill, and there's a nice buddleia plant. There's a very good buddleia plant here, and that is, well, buddleias are known as butterfly bushes, and this one has been particularly successful. We've had small white butterflies, we've had meadow brown, we've had red admiral. I can see a red admiral on the buddleia at the moment, and in particular we had a very, very welcome but very rare visitor earlier this week in a hummingbird hawk moth. Now this is a large moth which behaves exactly as the label on the packet says. It behaves exactly like a hummingbird. It's a large moth, and it hovers in front of the flowers and unwinds its proboscis and drinks the nectar, and then moves on to the next flower. Sadly, I don't believe they can breed successfully north of the Alps. So this was a visitor from quite a long way away. But very nice to see it. Above the well, there are tall spires of meadow woundwort at the moment with purple flowers. There's clouds of creamy white blossom on the meadowsweet, and above all there is a huge block of tall green flowers, tall green plants with pinky purple flowers on the top with a little white dot in the centre. This is the codlins and cream, great willow herb. It's the food plant for the caterpillars of the elephant hawk moth, but we've only seen those here on a couple of occasions and not recently. Coming further along, we pass, there's a mallow here, and then we reach some rather strange looking flowers. They look a bit like lilac flying saucers, as they are flattish heads, flat round heads of lilac coloured flowers on very thin green, long green stems, which tend to get lost against the background, so their lilac heads look as though they're floating in mid-air. And this is field scabious, and again, it's very popular with the insects. Well, that's what we can see at the minute. I hope you've enjoyed your visit, and that you'll come again sometime. Cheerio.